Alright guys, welcome to the video. I want you all to kind of pay attention because this is some important stuff. They're scheduled maintenance right now, but they just released the developer insights, the season 21 mid-season weapon tuning, which I've only read like a little bit into it up until like the lightweight shotguns. But here's what we got. So pulse rifles, pretty much they think that they're in a good place. I would agree. I don't think pulse rifles are super OP. I mean, there's obviously some suspects like No Time to Explain and some other 340s, I guess, that people just don't like because they're two taps essentially with them being two bursts. But they're reducing the auto aim angle at 0 aim sense by 10%. This pretty much means that the lower aim assist that your pulse rifle has, being intrinsic to it, means that you're not going to have as much aim assist and it's going to be harder to land, a full burst. I think this is more intended to affect 340s than any other class. This change I think is good. I think it brings more skill. You're gonna have to be more in line with how skillful you are with landing your shots with pulses in order to get that lowest TTK in Crucible. But moving on, we have bows. We have lightweight bows, and essentially, lightweight bows are apparently in a spot where you're seeing them only effective at really short ranges, like right now. I mean, they are apparently the lowest, or I mean, apparently they're effective at 15 meters, and then apparently they are also maxing their range at 20. So now they're increasing it up to 45, making this really good. I know a lot of people don't like using lightweights at all because apparently they're just, I think it has to do with the stickiness of the reticle. For me, I actually like lightweights. I think that they are a high skill cap. I like the fact that they don't have an insane amount of aim assist, kind of as a change of pace type of thing. But I totally get a lot of, of players in Destiny. They really don't. A lot of players in Destiny, they want, they want aim assist. It's one of those coveted stats. But the final accuracy by 10% here, that's also good, because their base accuracy is typically lower than any other bow frame. But submachine guns, this isn't really a submachine gun one, but apparently the reticle that they gave Shiura's is they're decreasing the opacity so that when you're shooting Shiuras, you're essentially going to be able to see better with the center dot and not so much of that clutter that's around it. I myself haven't used it too much, but I have seen people still use it and be effective with it. But it does seem like the reticle nerf was definitely something that you would want. You want is kind of determine. It wouldn't necessarily determine the effectiveness of the gun, but it makes it feel better, so to speak. But moving on to shotguns, like I said, I've read up to here. Lightweight shotguns are pretty bad because they have the diamond cone right now, so the outer pellets, and with lightweights not dealing as much damage as precisions or aggressives, they typically would be more for cleanups. I was actually talking with a streamer the other day because I was upgrading my Without Remorse because I've been kind of like, I've been eyeballing this gun and I want to use it, type of thing. Because I personally like lightweights. I like to be able to move faster, I guess, in PvP. It's just a inherent advantage, I think, with some guns like lightweight pulses, lightweight shotguns, and that sort of thing. But they're reducing the spread angle of the outer horizontal pellets by 15%. Horizontal is obviously if you go straight out to the left, or you go straight out to the right, And obviously, I don't know how many pellets each one shoots, but obviously they have a pretty wide angle on the outside. Where the closest comparison is aggressives, but they don't have an outer pellet and they inherently do more damage because they're aggressives. But I think this is huge. I think that precisions and certain aggressives have been dominant for sure, and that lightweights have definitely taken a back seat. And like I said, are more for cleanup right now. So I think this is a really good change, that they're making to lightweights. Now, exotic weapons. Graviton Lance, which I'm sure many people are excited about. Hopefully, they're nerfing it enough. Um, well, it is nice to see that Graviton Lance has been returned to glory after a long hiatus. At its current strength, the gun is too easy to use for how rewarding it can be. I mean, it's a really quick kill, and the cosmology explosion pushes it too close to primary ammo cloud strike for comfort. At the same time, it lags far behind Revision Zero's heavy burst mode and PvE damage, and that just doesn't seem fair, so we've given it a substantial buff to its PvE damage, while at the same time reducing the damage the cosmology explosion does to Guardians and removing the extra aim assist that was granted by the catalyst. That's insane. The catalyst gives a fat amount of aim assist. Like, let me look at this. I'm going to pull up dim here real quick because I think it's up. Okay, yep, it is. Let's go to Graviton. Let's look here. All right, am I blind? Where is it? Oh no, I'm looking in the wrong column. Goodness. So yeah, the aim assist that you get from this is 15. So, and I mean, this goes to like what we were just saying about pulses. Obviously, it's still going to have 60 aim assist, which is pretty high. But yeah, this catalyst is kind of what made it feel really over the top, even in PvE before all these changes, I feel like. Because you would get Vorpal with it, you'd have Cosmology, which is essentially like, I don't know, it's like a sort of like a firefly outbreak type of thing. I don't know, is the best way I can describe it. And it's like obviously the range on this thing is already, really good, but Graviton Lance has obviously taken a spot in the meta where it's just really strong. So coupled with the fact that they're taking away the aim assist, and then they're also doing that, where they're obviously poking. And I mean, obviously, I haven't done any comparison to see if 60 aim assist is still high amongst pulses, but obviously, with that, it's kind of getting a double nerf in a sense, where it's losing, for PvP at least, losing the aim assist. And then also, the aim assist drop off that they had up above, applies to this because Graviton Lance is a pulse rifle, even though to me, it feels right now more like a scout, like a tuber scout, which I think is, the problem with it because it outranges any other pulse. It outdoes almost every other pulse. It's just kind of insane. But yeah, increased PV damage by 67%. I think that this thing will still be a monster, and GMs if you want to use it. Obviously, this season there is no Pulse Champion mod, so you don't really get the full benefits on it. But obviously we've had Pulse Rifle Unstop, we've had Pulse Rifle Anti-Barrier. So overall this weapon is like, still going to be really good, I think, for PvE, and even better obviously with this. It's a substantial buff. Reduce the damage dealt by the cosmology by 40% against players. Damage in PvE is unchanged. See, like 40%. That's quite a bit. That's good. No Time to Explain has been somewhat surpassed in effectiveness by the returning champion Graviton Lance, but given we are bringing Graviton Lance down a bit, we wanted to make sure we No Time to Explain that's really bad grammar, couldn't immediately reclaim the pulse rifle thrown too easily. So they reduced the range stat by 10. Okay. And this is good. I mean, they're not obviously touching the aim assist with No Time to Explain. But yeah, the range stat by 10, I guess I can pull up and we can look at No Time up here. So the range is 80, which is pretty substantial on it. Going down to 70, it's still gonna have really good, range. And I know that 340s, I think I remember months ago when they were doing the adjustments for the 340s that they were saying that, like, the fall off is a lot more severe, I think, and I can't remember the number, but it had something to do with like really high numbers and that sort of thing. I think 80 is the precipice kind of it. You got some legendaries like Messenger, that can obviously, like I have one. I mean, obviously this one doesn't even have range, but it has a range masterwork. So you've got 10 plus 3, type of thing. And then you can obviously plug in, adept range, and then you're at 86, So depending on what you roll on Messenger, and especially since it's come back, you can have higher range than no time type of thing. But this thing still overall has really solid stats, and it's not going to be, bad by any means. I'm sure people are still going to use it because it still is a very, very, high skill cap gun that if you're good with it, like, watch out. People aren't going to want to fight you. Fighting Lion. Okay. Fixed a bug with the perk application that was preventing Firearm from granting the benefits of its catalyst. Fixed an issue where the Chimera perk on the catalyst wasn't applying the buffs to kinetic and power slot weapons. Okay. I'm not a huge Fighting Lion fan, but I'm glad they're doing something with it that's where it's actually like a PvE thing. I do wish they would do something with PvP about Fighting Lion because it's kind of dumb having an infinite, shot GL in PvP where it's like, oh, people are just ricocheting it off of walls and stuff, but oh well. Perks, gut shot straight. When we initially made slick draw and gut shot, we wanted to make sure we weren't giving out substantial positive effects that had almost constant uptime for free, and we leaned a little too hard on their penalties in a way that made them often feel more like a punishment than a worthwhile trade-off. Exactly. As such, we've substantially reduced the penalties on each, and in playtests they feel significantly better to use than they did before. Reduced auto aim penalty by 37.5%. Let me even see if I have a gut shot straight weapon. Oh, I do, and it's just infused fodder. So, okay, so the body shot damage, but it's negative 55% auto aim cone size. So, okay, so with 37 and a half, let me see here, with 37 and a half, that means it's going to be, what is that? So it's going to be at 17.5%. It's going to be at 17.5% for this, which who knows, that's not a huge thing, I guess, but who knows? We'll see. Slick draw. Reduced auto aim penalty by 33%. I'm pretty sure I don't have a slick draw. Do we have a slick draw on anything? Nope, because slick draw is absolutely bad. Whatever it is, I'm sure that this is kind of in line with this, where it's a huge chunk taken off. Target lock. Target lock has had its time in the sun, but the ability to get such a large amount of damage with relatively minimal effort for accurate players has made this perk an overwhelmingly obvious choice in whatever slot it rolls for PvP. As such, we have reduced the maximum damage it can grant in PvP while leaving it unchanged in PvE. Reduced maximum damage versus players from 40 to 25%. This is huge. This is exactly the reason why you have guns like the Immortal that are so OP. You literally get, perpetual motion, target lock, you get, there's so many, like, I mean, it doesn't even matter almost what you have in the first column. Let me pull up Immortal here quick. I don't even use this gun because it's just okay. I mean, sometimes I'll pull it out because I like using the kill clip version. But yeah, this thing does have rangefinder. You have rangefinder on this thing, which it's like you're already zooming in. You don't even, I mean, you're hitting the body type of thing. You could even have dynamic sway, perpetual motion, like I said. Almost anything that this gun has in the first column is like C tier and above. The only one that I may not be too keen on having for this thing would maybe be Encore, because you don't really need it when you have, keep away or rangefinder. Yeah, I mean, keep away to me, like, some people say that you don't really need it on a gun like this because to be, more than, 15 meters away means you're at the precipice of its range. But I think that the reload speed is nice on such a small mag, to be honest with you. Even though these 750s don't go through the mag super quick because of their slow fire rate. But yeah, then you have field tested, which increases the range. You just have so much going for this gun with target lock that it's like, it's so brain dead to use, type of thing. And it's like the fact that it's also an adept weapon, it's just like another thing where, oh yeah, we don't, we're I don't know what to say. We're just, we're not going to nerf the 750s anymore. This is, really what it needs to be at. Even I feel like 25% could be really good, but obviously it's only for a few bullets because you need to actually be on people for a while, to get this thing, to get the benefits from it. But thank goodness, this needed to happen. Because, I mean, even after they did the 750s, they were probably like, well, what's making this gun so OP? And they don't want to completely gut 750s. I think that they can be in a good spot. I think, I'm really glad that I guess I kept a kill clip. I do have a target lock version type of thing, but it's like, these guns can be really good, in high skill use. And it's like, kill clip will be kind of the new reigning perk on this thing that you'll probably be seeing people use, but you're going to need a kill to actually have skill to get a kill rather than just the extreme spray and pray that it is right now. Future, let's see. In Season 22, we have a substantial shakeup coming to the weapon sandbox in the form of Zoom. We will have more details to share closer to release, but we want to briefly touch on what's going to happen at a high level. The initial changes are going to enforce something we're calling range compression with two main goals. Reduce the variance between the optimal engagement ranges of our mid-range weapons, auto, pulse, and hand cannons. Slightly reduce the average engagement range in Crucible by pulling in the maximum damage fall-off distance of many weapon types. This means that they're probably going to be taking scouts, and they are probably going to make it so you can't just sit in the back of the map with your Jade or Rabbit, or certain weapon types, because it's honestly just in a very oppressive and passive and no fun like play style where people, it's just like, oh, we're just gonna sit in the back, hold a choke, a kill zone essentially, and just never move. I've had games where I purposely just I'll be pushing on somebody, and if I see them in the back of the map, I will wait around a corner for them to never move. They literally just don't move, and it's the most boring play style ever. Like, I don't understand. I understand why people do it. They're abusing the meta, but it's just the worst kind of play style. Obviously, with these weapons, auto rifles kind of would need a range boost, is what I'm assuming they would get. Same with hand cannons, even though most hand cannons go for 30 meters right now, which is, like 10 meters short of like what, the maximum pulse rifles can get. But pulse rifles are probably going to be brought down a little bit, which is fine. I don't think, there should be certain weapons that are just, oh yeah, outrange performers, because at this point, if they're not going to make new maps or give us that many new maps, they need to address this thing, which they obviously are. Let's move on. To do this, the highest achievable damage fall-off range on almost all weapon types will be reduced to some extent. Sorry, I'm totally reduces on with certain weapon types being reduced more than others, and then in many cases the lower edge of their damage fall-off ranges will be coming up. Below you will find a table with the current damage fall-off start distance with and without rangefinder for all primary weapons, and then their values in Season 22 with the new changes. We do not expect these values to be final, but we wanted to start the mid-range weapons on a more even footing than they are in the live game. Keep in mind, even with the damage fall-off start values being similar, weapons will perform differently once their damage fall-off begins, as they currently do in the live game. Rifle-style weapons will experience fall-off more gradually, with handheld ones will experience it more quickly. But the difference should be much less extreme. In addition, we have also hand-tuned a small list of exotics and all special weapons with the intention of keeping them near where they are in the live game, as opposed to allowing them to receive substantial buffs or nerfs with these overarching changes. But we'll share more info on all that later. ADS damage fall-off start distance 0 to 100 range stat. So sidearms, old base zoom 13.2, 6.8. Plus rangefinders 14.3. So new base pretty much unchanged in the sense that rangefinder isn't going to be needed, and you're going to be getting up to 18 range. SMGs, old base zoom, have 12 to, I wonder what has 22, to be honest. It's kind of insane. You have 12, and then they're going to be brought up to 14 to 23, so a little bit less than what they had in rangefinder, but a little bit more, than what they had. Seems solid. Auto rifles, I guess they have a caveat here, which we'll read below. So new base is 18 to 39. I mean, that's, a really wide range, I guess. I'm gonna wonder, because there's certain frames like rapid fire frames that don't really have that much range. But, we'll see what happens, I guess. And these went up to 36 before, probably high impact frames, 360s and maybe 450s. Hand cannons we have going from 22 to 35, and then 24 to 37. That's good. I feel like that's fair. That's giving hand cannons a little bit more range to deal with, and that's been one thing that people have been complaining about with, that love hand cannons, is that, you can't beat out an SMG, but you can't be at a range of a pulse rifle. So this looks good. This looks really good to me, depending on how much range you're going to have to be committed into. But obviously, Bungie said that the stat lines aren't final, and they're going to be reviewing this some more. Pulse rifles we have from 25 to 39. And their new one is, and then they had 28 to 43, and then they have 25 to 39. So they still have, a little bit more range. And that's what they said with the rifles, but it's like it's a 2-meter distance, which, you're really going to be having to try and commit to being in the back of the map, I guess, if you're really going to want to be able to, outrange everybody, so I guess that playstyle, may not go away, but it's not going to be as prominent. Aggressive hand cannons, okay. Oh, they are putting aggressive hand cannons up to 40. So you're going to be able to use 120s like a lot of players have been using. And you're going to be able to, have really significant range. Your igneous hammers, I forget of other 120s. I know there's the new one. That's the Taken one this season. I know that. Goodness, I really don't know that many 120s. I'm not going to lie. But yeah, the steady hand, I guess. Steady hand's another one of them. But yeah, that's really good, I think. Lightweight bows, 45, and they went okay. Precision bows went up to 54, so you're still seeing, the insane range, I guess, from bows. but it's going to be more consistent because they're not going to be able to go 60 meters. Scout rifles. Is this right? New base ADS modifier 60 to 90. Huh. It's interesting that I think that they're keeping scouts this high, but they're the only one that's like really high, I guess. Other things to look forward in season 22, hand cannons will be receiving several buffs aimed at improving their usefulness in PvE, including a base reload speed increase and damage increases to minor and major enemies. Sword Guard is getting a substantial rework. They did say that, a little while ago that they're going to be trying to make guarding more useful. Who knows? I mean, I'm interested to see what they're doing, but who knows with that. Tuning to a handful of exotics, including a balance pass for the Monarch and some big buffs to Touch of Malice. Touch of Malice, okay, that's dope because honestly, like, in order to get the benefits of it or whatever else, you literally have to be sitting at a mag and doing damage to yourself. And it's just like, who knows? Maybe they just make that a little bit less substantial. But changes to weapon perks, including buffs to Bipod, Envious Assassin, and Under Over. Under Over, I think that they said there was going to be a rework. Envious Assassin, I guess, I don't know. Like, I guess maybe Envious Assassin. I feel like it's already a really good perk, and everyone knows that Envious Assassin with I guess I can't even remember. I guess what the perk is on the new. Here we'll just pull it up. Um, I don't really know what the new or I mean, if it's a secondary perk or whatever on this thing. I don't have on the Cold Comfort, but you have. Yeah, you want Envious Assassin. Oh, and then you do want Bait and Switch. You can obviously do Explosive Light, which is easier, but we're kind of delving into like why, Envious Assassin. But it's like with this thing, you can get 150%. I believe you can get 3 shots, just like Truth or whatever with this thing. And then you do Bait and Switch. You upon doing Bait and Switch, you obviously have, a fat 35%, whereas, obviously Explosive Light, I feel like, pick your poison, but obviously Bipod, which they just mentioned right now, it's like it decreases the damage by 40%. I don't really care. I don't think anyone cares about the blast radius or the reload speed to it, but this obviously gives you a lot of ammo. The reserve size of 5, it gives you a lot of ammo with this thing, but it's useless because it just doesn't do enough damage. And it's like most people aren't using rockets to clear ads. I have tried. I do have one with bipod on it, ensemble bipod, which is honestly kind of to trade off the reload speed. You still get 40, with this, so you're still getting benefits from this and no penalties like for this type of thing. But yeah, I'm interested to see what they're gonna do with that because obviously bipod, they were hyping it up and it's kind of garbage now. I don't know what they're going to do with Envious. Maybe it will be that you don't have to switch to the weapon, is what I'm saying, because I think that you need to actually switch to it within certain time of it getting a kill. And Under Over, I mean, they really need to make this work, because if they're not going to nerf shields on Titans or shields in general, this needs to be stronger or better, more useful somehow. Maybe they have it. Maybe Under Over has an effect where it actually damages the player instead of just the shield through the shield or something like that. Kind of like like an armor piercing type round, or because there's certain games where I know that there's certain guns and they have armor piercing and they have partial. They go through they go through, the armor, and they do damage to the armor, but they also do damage to the player. So it's like maybe that is what they want to do with it. If that is the route they take, I think that that would be a good idea, and under over would actually be used, is what I'm thinking. But what about second balance pass? Okay. So, Season 23 work is in full swing here on the weapons team, which means a lot of things are still in flux. We do know for sure that glaives, and yes, the class exotics too, will be getting some substantial tuning. And we're excited to share details of that as we get further along. For now, we can let you know that we're looking at ways to make them feel better to use without making them annoying to play against. And we're experimenting with things like reducing the delay after firing before you can melee, improving the base projectile speed, and altering how shield energy is granted. If you're a glaive aficionado, we'd be interested to know how those changes strike you, and even if you aren't, we'd still like to hear from you. So I'll say this, Bungie, I do think that the projectile speed needs to be a lot higher. I think it's insane to have a weapon where it's like the TTK is not that good on it. Like, let's look here. Let's look at just, we're just going to type in, the first glaive that we ever got, into Foundry. And the TTK is 0.90. But obviously, it's 82 meters a second velocity, which I guess, I don't know, this must not be very good, type of thing. But you need to use it at such close range that you're going to lose to everything else if you're using this. And I guess with aggressive glaives, I guess I forget, what is the... 1 second, let me look at the... here. I know what the aggressive glaive... It's Kelgarath. Okay. So obviously with this, the TTK is even higher because it still takes 2. So it's just like this weapon is inherently pretty useless. I guess even if you get Harmony and you have that procced, you're not getting, you're not getting any more TTK on it or anything like that. With Unstoppable Force, let's see, you're not... This sort of thing is 20% as well. Surrounded. Okay, I guess Surrounded, if you have... It's a 40% increased damage buff. Yeah, you have a 1 second, TTK, but you're not going to be able to get use out of this in, PvP, really. Unless you're just some crack gamer that's able to get, a Surrounded buff, but... Yeah, let's be real. They need some love if they're going to be good in PvP. And I mean, the thing about it is they're either really good, or they're just, with the shield and the fact that you can't kill them or whatever, type of thing. And it's like, if you end up having to backpedal or you end up getting stuck, it's a really easy kill with a glaive. But the problem is getting those initial shots. Because it's like, I think that they're really good for, I guess, team fighting, team shots, if you're good with one. But it's just, I don't know. They're too sporadic and inconsistent, and that's what I have to say about glaives. So yeah, the projectile, I mean, if you increase that, that's good. I don't know how you would alter how the shield energy is granted, type of thing, but it's like... But yeah, I think that this is... I think it's a good thing that they're changing glaives, because like the exotic glaives are the most... I think with the change to Salvation's Grip, they are the most useless exotics in the game. You really don't have you'd be hard pressed to find a reason why other exotics would be worse than them. But with that, I'm gonna stop ranting about glaives, you guys, and that is the developer insights of the Season 21 mid-season weapon tuning. I wanted to mention that I thought it was interesting they showed last seasonal weapon bow on here, and the only changes they're making is to actual lightweights too, which I think is funny, because this bow is pretty useful, honestly. But yeah, if you guys watched the video and you enjoyed it or have any opinions of your own, please comment below. And as always, I'm Wrath Nightbane, and I thank you for watching.